Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to the Curve Group's latest webinar. Today we're going to be talking about how to deliver an effective onboarding process for new starters. The session today is being recorded and this will be sent to you within 48 hours of the webinar finishing today. In addition to that, you will have noted that your cameras are currently off and that we have muted everybody just so that we can have a clear run through the webinar this morning. The session we aim for today will take around 30 minutes in total, and that does also allow us time for questions and answers. And if you do have any questions as we go through, please do use the Q&A facility or alternatively the chat facility, and we will come back to you as soon as we can. So for those of you that haven't joined one of the webinars before, firstly, welcome. A little bit about us to get us going. So we are the Curve Group. We are the largest privately owned recruitment and HR outsourcers in the UK. And what do we do? Well, we provide configurable solutions across the entire employee life cycle. And as you can see by the diagram there on this slide, there are a number of elements that we cover, everything from screening and attrition all the way through to induction and talent development and management. Our solutions are underpinned by a range of complementary specialist consultancy and project services. They can be configured to support businesses of all shapes and sizes, from small SMEs and startups all the way through to challenger brands right through to the FTSE 250. And as well as being fully embedded into a business, our solutions can also wrap around and complement your existing teams and functions, providing additional expertise and scalability when the businesses need it most. Here at the Curve Group, we are extremely proud of what we do. Now, if you would come to Curvy offices, these are just some of the awards that you would see dotted around the building. And as you can see, they range from everything from being a recruitment company of the year, all the way through to best customer focus and workplace wellbeing regional winner as well. So it's just a snapshot of how proud we are with everything we do here at the Curve Group. By way of an introduction, I'm delighted today to be joined by Shannon Woolley. She's our HR Operations Administration Lead, and she'll be taking the lead through the webinar today, in addition to myself, Anna Clapton, Head of HR Consultancy. You've got both of our email addresses there as well, so please do reach out to us if there's anything that we can help you with following today's webinar. So let's take a look at what we're going to be covering today. We've got a very simple agenda to cover. So we're going to be looking at the importance of effective onboarding process, the fundamentals of onboarding a new starter, roles and responsibilities during the onboarding process, communication and engagement strategies, preparing for a smooth induction, and we're going to leave you with some top tips to deliver a successful induction experience. And in addition to that, we will have time for Q&As, as we said, but please feel free to pop anything in the chat or the Q&A as we go along. So our overall aim is to enable you to understand how to have an efficient, considered approach to onboarding, which will help you retain new starters and ensure a smooth transition from the recruitment process all the way through to induction. So with that in mind, and without any further ado, what I'd like to do now is hand you over to Shannon.
Thanks, Anna. So I'm going to start by running through a few stats as to why onboarding is such an important process in the workplace. A good onboarding process improves new employee productivity by 70%. So this should be your business case for investing in your onboarding process. It's going to make a huge difference to your workplace. A great employee onboarding can improve employee retention by 82%. A really great stat. And as I'm sure you all know, talent scarcity and high turnover are among the biggest challenges organisations will face in 2022. So it's important to engage and retain employees from day one. A strong employee onboarding process can help you accomplish that, while also helping new hires ramp faster so they can be productive sooner. The importance of effective onboarding processes: candidate engagement, candidate retention, employer brand and reputation, and keeping your business safe. Integrating candidates into the business ahead of start dates makes a huge difference for everyone involved. The candidate will feel part of the team straight away and will understand the role responsibilities to enable them to support your business much quicker. Candidate retention. BE offices calculated the cost to hire a new employee is around £50,000 based on an average salary of £27,600. Hence why focusing on candidate retention is key. Employer brand and reputation. A fair and consistent process must be carried out with each candidate to ensure a high-level client reputation. 1 in 5 new hires are unlikely to recommend an employer if they've had a bad onboarding experience. Employee referrals are one of the most coveted sources of hire because they're less expensive to hire, they onboard faster, and they stay longer. And finally, keeping your business safe. There are so many elements within the onboarding process that keep your business safe. The obvious ones being pre-employment screening, making sure they're fully screened to meet the needs of your business, or having the right to work in the UK, but also ensuring the HR system is up to date with all employee documents and information, such as contracts of employment, medical conditions, and personal information. The fundamentals of onboarding a new starter: process, timelines, information, responsibilities, and communication. The onboarding process has to be agreed, communicated, and applied consistently, correctly, and efficiently. The onboarding timelines need to be established, actively managed, and monitored. And HR need to be provided with the correct information at the right time in order to deliver an efficient and successful onboarding process. Responsibilities within the process are key to ensure the process is completed from beginning to end by all parties involved. And communication. Communication is one that usually falls down in organisations. The candidate should receive regular communication from all parties to stay engaged. However, in addition to that, please ensure you are also communicating internally also. And now to the fundamentals of what should be completed as part of your onboarding process. So for the HR team to be able to provide the contractual documents, as a minimum, the information below would be required: the job title, salary, start date, location, and any key clauses. That is why the communication is really key, to ensure we get the correct information at the right time to ensure correct contractual documents are issued. Pre-employment screening packages. If your organisation requires pre-employment screening packages, these could include anything from right to work right through to social media checks. And if you're a financial organisation, this could be that you conduct SMCR checks or directorship checks. It is important the HR team receive the correct information to ensure the new starter goes through the correct package. Should you require any further information on screening packages, please do contact us after the session and we'll be happy to help. First day instructions. These should be sent in advance and should include things such as time to arrive, parking, dress code, where you can get lunch. It's all the simple things that's going to make your new starter feel much more at ease ahead of their first day. Key business information. This is not something that's mandatory, but it could just be something as simple as sending links to the company website, values, up-to-date org charts, just to help them embed easier into their organisation. An IT setup. As mentioned, IT will need the correct information to ensure the new starter is set up correctly prior to the start date. Accountability in the onboarding process. I think it's important to know that it's not just HR that is involved in the onboarding process. The recruiter, HR, line managers, ICT, finance and payroll, and pre-employment screening. So the recruiter, what often happens is the recruiter will offer the candidate and the process is then handed to HR. The recruiter should keep in touch with the candidate to ensure they have no questions whilst they're being onboarded, as the new starter will feel much more comfortable speaking to a familiar face. HR are the link between the recruitment process and the induction, but they're there to ensure the process is in place and to make sure the process runs smoothly, so that we have an engaged new starter turn up on their first day, ready to go. Line managers. Line managers are responsible for making it work, pulling all of the pieces together so that the new starter will need ahead of the start date. But line managers need to take accountability for this and stay in touch with their new starter, which we'll come on to in just a second. ICT, as previously mentioned, ICT need to ensure the new starters are set up with the necessary tech and access to systems required. This is often an area where sadly many fall down, as internal communication has meant they have not been notified of the new starter. Payroll and finance, they often don't have contact with the candidate, but they're very much accountable for ensuring the candidate is set up from a payroll perspective with the support from the HR team. And finally, pre-employment screening. This could be a third-party provider, so it is HR's responsibility to stay in contact with them throughout the process to ensure all screening is complete prior to start. Communication and engagement. This slide is aimed more at line managers, and the reason for that is recruiter is in contact right from the beginning of the process, and so are HR. So it's really important that the line manager makes it a personal experience for the new starter. Sharing things such as induction schedules, or inviting them in for a coffee, taking them for lunch, or even inviting them to team meetings prior to start. All of those things are going to really help engagement, but also your employer reputation.
Thank you, Shannon. I think it's fair to say everything Shannon has covered on onboarding is what most of us probably do now, but there's no harm in bringing it back to the forefront. In addition to a successful onboarding experience, it continually goes hand in hand with induction. We have previously run induction webinars, and we'd be more than happy to support you in any way around induction. So what I'm just going to cover now is some of the basics of what you should include. So think about your welcome and your introduction. Think about your company overview, and if it's possible that somebody on your exco can actually be part of that welcome and introduction to the organisation. Health and safety is key. So if they are coming into the building, then an office tour might be applicable, as well as where all of the basic things such as the kind of the fire location is, or where to go if something happens for safety, where the first aid box is kept, and also who the first aiders are in the building. Shannon's previously mentioned the HR and finance team, but remember it's really key that they have their own process and their own systems, if applicable, that the new starter will need to be aware of. This will be key for them to be able to be paid and the documentation that they need as well. Think about your internal HR systems as well. This is where most organisations now do a lot of self-certification, a lot of ways to book holidays and those kind of things. If you're an organisation that uses timesheets or even has expenses that get paid out for any reason, again, just make sure those processes are explained, the timelines for those things are explained, so that your new starter doesn't feel kind of behind before they even get going in the organisation. Think about your overall technology and infrastructure. Think about all of the systems that they are going to need access to. If you use a telephone system that is kind of linked to your laptops, or even, just in a complex in any way, again, make sure all of that is covered. Direct them to the intranet where need be, direct them to CRM where need be, and think about any other software and technology that might come hand in hand. Think about all of the mandatory e-learning, and if you build your new starters an induction, then it's always great to build this into the induction so they haven't got to find time to suddenly do it when they're trying to take everything else in their first couple of days of employment. And these kind of mandatory learnings can include GDPR, display screen equipment, and diversity and inclusion. I'm sure as an organisation you may have many more as well. Please bring to life prior to them starting, throughout their onboarding, and continue it through their induction journey and beyond, all of the things around the values, the cultures, and the behaviour. Think about a team introduction. Do they have a buddy? How's that going to work? Plan in any on-the-job training that is required. And if you are an organisation that puts your employees up on their website in a meet us or get to know us kind of way, and a picture is required, please make sure that individual is aware that you'll be taking their picture on day one or within the first couple of days, just so they can be ready. By preparing a smooth induction as well as a fantastic onboarding experience, it does go hand in hand with some of the feedback that you could get, along with kind of the retention throughout as well. So let's just conclude by taking a look at some of the top tips to delivering a successful onboarding experience. So please do define your process. It needs to deliver everything the business, candidate, and the hiring manager need. It needs to be laid out, it needs to be reviewed, and it needs to make sure everybody's on board. And that's from the top down and the bottom up as well. Please do keep your candidates engaged throughout. It makes a big difference when they know what's going on, and it makes them feel welcome before they've even joined or walked through the door. Think about and define all of the roles and responsibilities. Just as we said, it's not just HR's job to do it. Get feedback and monitor experience from candidates and hiring managers. But once you've got that feedback, please do something with it. Make sure you're reviewing it and make sure you're tweaking your processes, your roles and responsibilities as you go through. And also focus on making the process more time efficient without impacting the candidate experience as you do so. By delivering all of these things, we can guarantee that all of your up and coming employees will have a fantastic onboarding experience. And if you think about the world of social media now as well, please do encourage all of your employees to go onto Glassdoor and do all of those great reviews at the moment. So with that in mind, we have actually come to the end of our webinar in plenty of time. We are more than happy to take any questions off of you. If you would prefer to reach out to us independently, then that's absolutely fine as well. We're more than happy to do so. So I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes just to see if we've got any Q&As that are coming in. I've got nothing coming through at the moment, and that's absolutely fine. What I will do though is I will reshare both details of myself and Shannon. And as I say, please do reach out to us if anything today has been of interest to you, or if you'd like any further information. We are absolutely here to give you a helping hand. We can take care of your onboarding processes as part of our HR administration outsource solution, or as an extension of your recruitment process. We can ensure that your candidates have a seamless and first-rate onboarding experience with all of the knowledge and the technologies that we use. So just in terms of the future and what we've got coming up, our next webinar will be hosted on the 28th of June, and it's all around time to hires too high. So we're going to have a look at building and nurturing ready-made talent pools. In July, we're going to have a look at talent assessments and succession planning. We'll then take a break throughout August for holidays, and then we will be back with a big hit in September around diversity, equality and inclusion strategies. All that's left for me to say on behalf of Shannon and myself is thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's been a pleasure to have you, and thank you again. And on that note, I will end the webinar. Thank you.